heaven never forgets. It simply waits for the right time to respond. Stop reading like this is just another message. Stop scrolling like you're not already trembling inside. Because this moment has been marked in heaven. A time-stamped revelation has just been activated over your life. And Archangel Michael has stepped forward, not with soft whispers, but with a roaring sword of justice, burning with flame and holy authority. There is something you've felt for a while now. A subtle pain. A disturbance in your peace. You've watched someone else rise while you remained stuck. You saw their face in rooms where your name should have been. You celebrated them outwardly, but your spirit grieved in silence. This is not jealousy. This is prophetic dissonance. Something sacred was stolen. A role that bore your name. A blessing your tears qualified you for. A platform your wilderness prepared you to handle. And yet, someone else stepped into it. Not because they were called, but because they were close enough to mimic you. Archangel Michael now speaks. I was there. I saw the moment the switch was made. Not with swords, but with silence. Not with war, but with imitation. This was no ordinary betrayal. This was spiritual identity theft. Someone used your silence as permission. They wrapped themselves in your pain like it was their own. They spoke your language, told your story, and accepted applause meant for your scars. And all the while, you wondered what went wrong. Why did doors close? Why did favor stall? Why did the weight of invisibility crush you while others soared? It was not coincidence. It was a masked exchange. The one who took your place was not chosen, they were simply positioned when you were too weary to move. They stood at the edge of your breakthrough and walked through it, hoping no one would notice. But heaven noticed. And now the approval they accepted is being revoked. Michael declares, what they claimed in your absence will be shaken in your return. You were not late. You were under construction. You were not passed over. You were being prepared. And now, the time of reversal has come. You felt it, didn't you? The tension in conversations. The silence when their name comes up. The way you smiled while something in you mourned. That was not paranoia. That was your angel trying to wake you up. Heaven whispered, that was yours. And now heaven is no longer whispering. Michael is shouting. They stood in your place. They sat in your seat. They wore your oil like it was theirs. But the tables are turning. This is the beginning of a holy reordering. The mask is slipping. Their access is expiring. Their counterfeit alignment is collapsing under weight it was never meant to carry. They stood on a platform your tears built. And now that foundation is cracking. You're about to be called. Not through the door they stole, but through a higher one. This is not a mistake. This is a recovery mission. They walked into your season. Not through prayer. Not through purpose. But through proximity. They were close enough to see your oil. And bold enough to imitate it. Archangel Michael speaks again, his wings drawn wide, his voice like thunder echoing through glass temples. They watched you weep. And copied your worship. They studied your pain, then plagiarized your process. This was not admiration. It was exploitation. They didn't just take your place. They took your essence. They mirrored your words. They rehearsed your faith. They wore your trials like costumes at a spiritual masquerade. And while the world clapped for them, heaven wept for you. Let it be known now, heaven is no longer silent about what was taken. Their false favor is expiring. Their counterfeit platform is collapsing. The applause they received was always temporary. Because it was built on a story that wasn't theirs. And now, the sound of crumbling identity is shaking the corridors of influence they once stood in. Remember that moment? When you felt uneasy when the atmosphere around them shifted and something inside you recoiled? You didn't speak it. You didn't accuse them. But your soul knew. That blessing looks like mine. That opportunity came after I bled. That door had my fingerprints on it. You tried to let it go. You gave them the benefit of the doubt. You convinced yourself that maybe they earned it. But Michael says, no more lying to your discernment. What your spirit grieved is now being vindicated. They didn't just walk through your door. They walked in with your blueprint. They didn't build it. They duplicated it. They rearranged it just enough to look original. But heaven knows the difference between divine design and spiritual plagiarism. What was birthed in your cave cannot be replicated in their convenience. This isn't petty. This isn't personal. This is spiritual treason. Heaven's courts have reviewed the evidence. Angelic witnesses have spoken. And now, the verdict has been issued: unauthorized access, false occupancy, assignment theft. Michael has not come to whisper. He has come to evict. Do you feel it, the trembling in your chest? The divine ache in your bones? The tears behind your eyes? That is your soul remembering who it really is. The weight returning to your voice. The clarity to your vision. The fire to your spine. Because heaven is lifting the fog of impersonation. And your identity, long displaced, is being reclaimed. Right now, the name that tried to eclipse yours is being exposed. The relationships they poisoned are returning to clarity. The favor they intercepted is boomeranging back, with interest. What was taken? What was misused? What was diverted? Is now returning. Not through guilt. Through God's governance. You've remained silent long enough. Now your life will speak for you. They can't mimic the authority forged in your suffering. They can't fake the fire heaven put in your lungs. When you return, and you will, the ground will recognize you. The room will respond. The people will remember. Because what was stolen was never lost, it was delayed for vindication. You were never meant to compete for what was already yours. Your silence was never weakness. It was strategy. You were hidden, not because you were unworthy, but because heaven was allowing deception to finish its course. And now the false light is fading. And your name is being summoned back into the atmosphere with force. Archangel Michael declares, the door that was once hijacked is being locked again. But not to keep you out, to keep the imposter from returning. This isn't about revenge. It's about realignment. God isn't restoring what was lost. He's restoring what was never meant to leave your hands. You'll begin to notice strange things. People will go silent when you walk in. Individuals who once celebrated you will avoid your eyes. Even the air will feel heavier when you're near certain rooms. This is not energy. This is conviction. Their spirit knows what their mouths won't confess. The real one is back. They can't explain the sudden shift. They just know something divine has returned to its rightful alignment. You. The one who stepped into your place, crafted stories around your absence. They acted humble, spiritual, grateful. But what they did not expect was that heaven would keep receipts. Every word. Every agreement made in your absence. Every yes they whispered when your name should have been called. It has all been documented. And now, the narrative is breaking down. Because truth has returned to the scene. There will be whispers about you again, but not like before. This time, they won't say, where have they gone? Did they lose their way? Are they still around this time? They'll say something's different. Their voice feels heavier. Their presence feels like prophecy. You are not stepping back into rooms for validation. You are returning with divine weight. You will no longer explain yourself. You will be felt. Michael's sword has never been ornamental. It's not for display. It is for enforcement. And right now, it is cutting false alignments, severing soul ties formed out of mimicry, and shutting doors to systems that were built on stolen blueprints. Those who stood in your place will now feel the tremble of divine exposure. Not to shame them, but to release you. Heaven doesn't just restore in secret. Heaven vindicates publicly. People who doubted you will now be forced to watch as favor finds your name again. They'll wonder, how did it all turn around so fast? Where did this authority come from? What happened to them while they were away? What happened? God remembered. And heaven reopened a door they thought was shut forever. You will walk into places they walked with your story, and everything will feel different. Why? Because imitation only goes so far. They memorized your script, but you lived the story. They borrowed your light, but you were forged in fire. Now you will speak with a sound that cannot be copied. You will move with a mantle they were never qualified to carry. You are no longer walking in competition, you're walking in confirmation. Michael closes this part with a holy warning: what was taken will be returned. What was built on theft will collapse. But do not seek revenge. This is heaven's battle, not yours. Your only responsibility now: be ready. Because when the reversal comes, it will come fast, hard, and undeniable. You are not returning to pick up crumbs. You are returning to inherit a kingdom. You're not stepping back into place, you're ascending into dominion. The heavens have opened, not for inspiration, but for confrontation. The counterfeit has been confronted. The lie has been burned. And now, the throne that once stood empty is being prepared for its rightful ruler. And that ruler is you. Archangel Michael now speaks, his voice no longer sounding like thunder, but like the command of war drums from the throne of God: enough delay. Enough mourning. Enough doubting. Step into your seat. Stand on your name. And take up the sword you dropped when your hands got tired. This is not a gentle re-entry. This is reclamation. You are not the same. Your silence has matured you. Your pain has forged you. Your stillness has refined you. Now when you speak, the spirit realm will listen. Now when you walk, systems will shift. Now when you show up, demons will flee. You are no longer arriving as a servant. You are arriving as a steward of divine justice. Everything stolen is returning. Honor is coming back. Platforms are being rebuilt under your authority. Finances are flowing in from withheld sources. Relationships are being restored, but this time with reverence. You were never supposed to beg for what heaven assigned you. Now you will command it. Not with arrogance, but with righteous alignment. What they pretended to carry will now crush them. What you were designed to carry will now crown you. This reversal will not be done in silence. God is intentional about making your rise visible. Why? Because the same people who believed the lie must now witness the truth in full display. The ones who said you were done will see you elevated. The ones who applauded the imposter will now hear your voice rise like thunder. The ones who ignored your process will now be stunned by your platform. You are not here for applause. You are here as proof. What once made you cry will now be your authority point. They took your story, yes, but they couldn't take your scars. And in the kingdom of God, scars aren't signs of defeat, they're evidence of divine endorsement. You survived what tried to silence you. Now speak with the fire of the one who was never supposed to rise again. Let this be made clear. The door you are walking through now? It won't open for imitators. It won't respond to echoes. It won't unlock for those who merely copied your call. Because this door answers to frequency, not familiarity. And your frequency has finally been restored. The code has been reset. The vibration has aligned. The inheritance is no longer blocked. You are not walking back into life with desperation. You are walking with precision, discernment, supernatural clarity. You now see who is for you. Who merely tolerated you. And who was secretly building thrones on your sacrifice. And you're not bitter, you're better. You will lead with vision, not vengeance. With presence, not performance. With fire, but without fury. Michael says, you've been monitored long enough. Now you are being mobilized. As you take each step forward, heaven will send resources. Angelic hosts will clear the path. Unseen doors will swing wide on hinges forged by your obedience. You are not climbing ladders anymore. You are walking through gates. Royal gates. Michael lowers his sword now, not in defeat, but to rest it at your feet. You are no longer waiting for permission. Heaven has already said yes. Now move. Not with fear, but with force. Not as a victim, but as a verified vessel of heaven's justice. The tables have turned. The crown has been returned. And the silence has ended. You feel it, don't you? The weight on your name has returned. The tension in the air has shifted. You are no longer being tolerated, you are being celebrated in the spirit. Heaven has remembered. And now the earth is being forced to respond. The one who stood in your place, they can no longer hold it. What was once hidden is now unfolding in the open. Conversations are surfacing. Eyes are opening. Truth is traveling faster than lies ever could. Those who once believed the imposter will begin to whisper, "We were wrong." But you don't need apologies. Because God has given you something greater, redemption with interest. Everything you were denied is returning now, multiplied. The stage you were excluded from? It's being rebuilt around your voice. The opportunity that slipped through? It's being redirected with upgrades. The relationships that failed under sabotage? They're being restored with clarity. The finances that were delayed? They're coming in abundance and acceleration. This is not a recovery. This is a divine reimbursement. You didn't just survive theft. You survived it long enough to outlive the lie. And now the reward isn't just restoration, it's promotion. They tried to fill your seat. They tried to wear your oil. They tried to replicate your presence. But they couldn't carry what cost you your wilderness. Because what heaven places on a name cannot be transferred, only released by the one it was made for. You never lost your portion. It was simply preserved until your spirit healed enough to carry it without bitterness. Now you rise, not with rage, but with righteousness. You're not going back to where you were. That door is closed, because a gate has opened. This new dimension includes global influence, anointing that breaks structures, discernment so sharp it can read a room before anyone speaks. You are not just being honored, you are being armed. Every delay was preparation. Every betrayal was verification. Every silence was incubation. And now, you walk out of the fire as the evidence. The warrior angel steps forward one final time. His wings, now folded. His sword, sheathed. His tone, no longer thunder, but solemn glory. You have been cleared. You have been called. You have been confirmed. Now take your place, not in the shadow of who tried to be you, but in the fullness of who God says you are. The false light has faded. The borrowed mantle has disintegrated. And the world will now see the difference between a copy and the called. They will ask, where did this power come from? How did they rise again? Why does their voice carry such fire? Now they won't recognize the cost. But they will respect the outcome. Your very presence will shift atmospheres. You are no longer seeking placement, you are creating space for others like you who've been watching silently, waiting for someone to break through the glass ceiling of false favor. And now you are that one. Heaven has placed a divine stamp across your name, white heavy checkmark validated by fire. Qualified by silence. Restored by justice. You are now what they tried to become. But only you were born for it. Your tears were the tithe. Your warfare was the witness. Your delay was the testimony. Now your victory is unshakable. They thought you were finished. But God was only refining you. They thought they took your place. But heaven never handed them the keys. They thought you'd never rise again. But this moment has been written since before your first breath. You are not just returning. You are ruling. Let the angels shout. Let the air shift. Let the spirit realm take notice. The rightful one has returned. And nothing will be the same again.